Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the OA Part 2, Episode 5. It's called The Medium and the Engineer. What a title.
That's a good title.
Makes me curious.
Did it live up to your curiosity?
It got weird again, if that's what you're asking.
It did, but did it satisfy you when you saw that title and you're like, ooh?
Well, yeah, we got some interesting backstory. These two built the house. I mean, the engineer specifically, but the medium helped design it with their dreams. So
yeah,
we got some interesting stuff. This is definitely, we're still in weird territory, and this is where I think, like, if people didn't want it to go full weird, this is probably the jump in the shark sort of territory between the end of the last episode and then this episode.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of this, and you know how much I love that giant octopus.
Yes.
And you know how I can be. I'm pretty big on some Lynch, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm opposed to the weird. A lot of this one felt a bit pointless.
Pointless, you say?
Yeah, not all of it, but a lot of it felt like it was abstract for the sake of it, rather than having a point.
How can you say that for some of this though, without knowing where we go? Like, because you talking about the scene where Kareem ends up in that sort of almost like grave sort of yard.
Parts of it
where
felt,
the bodies are coming from.
Yeah, that's part of it. It felt meandering, is what I should say. A lot of stuff where OA was out in that otherworldly sort of visuals
With the trees.
With the trees, yeah. The actual conversation that she has is pretty good. I'm into that. A lot of the stuff, there's like 3 or 4 minutes beforehand just out there in that abstract space, and I felt I went on too long. It felt like, oh, look what we're doing.
I like the tree stuff. I'll stick up for the tree stuff because that was pretty and it was interesting.
It was for about 40 seconds.
Connor coming in and being the negative Nancy again.
No.
No, I mean, this episode, I will say, the searching about the house stuff felt a bit weird because it was more like everything up until this point in the show, for the most part, at least from what I can remember, has never been this kind of physically weird, right? It's always been ideas, it's always been things we talk about, or stuff that happens in dreams.
Or a story of something weird.
Or a story of something weird, or whatever. Whereas this was like, no, this house seems like 5 times as big as it should once they start going through the puzzle elements of the house. And that felt a little bit weird because it was like, no, physically it feels like there's like dimensional space inside here that's like expanding.
It's a bit of a TARDIS.
It's a bit of a TARDIS, yes. And that was a bit weird at first. I don't necessarily mind there's puzzles in the house. I don't necessarily mind, it starts off with them in the tunnel and they have to go up and then they end up in the house and then,
you just didn't want it to break all the rules, is what you're saying. The rules of physics.
Yes, it felt, I mean, but not that that's necessarily out of the realm of what this show can do. I mean,
but here's the thing. Everything else, the universe hopping, it has these abstract methods of doing it. But I can still say, well, it's an alternate dimension, right? There is a rule to it. The movements are a rule. Mm-hmm. Whereas this house kind of just feels like, it's like, space doesn't really matter. It feels like it's breaking a rule, whereas everything else feels like it's just adding new rules you didn't know about. Whereas this one actively breaking a rule of physics.
I mean, I don't know if you could say it's necessarily breaking a rule. I mean, you can say it's breaking the actual rules of physics.
Yes.
I'm not saying you can't say that, but who gives a shit? That's really not important here. What's important here is, because, we're talking about dances that let people travel to other universes. That's,
Which I'm fine with. I'm fine. That's just adding rules that I don't know.
Yeah, that's within the show's rules. So what strikes me about this though is that we hear about this spring that was in this place, right? This was San Francisco after the big earthquake at the start of the century, and this house was built to protect the spring, and they built this house. The part that kind of strikes me as odd though, the part that doesn't work, because we get this story, right? Because this Homer gets suspicious enough that he sneaks into Hap's office and he ends up finding a hidden compartment with these tapes, and I say tapes, mini discs. For some reason, mini discs are happening.
Haps with the time.
Also, I forgot to mention, Homer referenced Stranger Things last episode.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't like it.
Why?
I've complained about this before. I think Dear White People. That's the show I complained about it on. It was a show that was originally set...
I am about to prove you wrong here, but go continue. Finish your complaint.
Okay. There is a loophole on this one that I can maybe see you're going to ask, but even that I'm going to find a stretch. Because on that, it's a show that was set before that show existed.
Mm-hmm.
There was no time jump, and then they came back and was just like, oh, hey, that's a big thing now. We're going to reference it. You're going to tell me, oh, but this is an alternate dimension.
Nope.
Maybe in this world they got...
Nope. You think you're smart, but you're not. You're an idiot.
Why?
Because characters in this show were watching Stranger Things in season 1.
Were they?
Yep. So you can argue about when it came out all you want. In the OA, Stranger Things was out in both universes before season 1 hit.
This came out before the first season of Stranger Things, right?
No, it didn't.
Did not?
Stranger Things came out in the summer. This came out in December that same year.
I thought it was the next summer that Stranger Things came out. Fair enough. This has been so long that I assumed Stranger Things was after it, because we've had 2 seasons, right? I thought, we've had
one season of Stranger Things since this season 1.
No. I know. I'm saying we've had in total 2 seasons of Stranger Things, and I was like, yeah, that's been enough time between these seasons to fit those.
I can't remember who was watching it, but I remember them watching the kids on the bikes on TV in season 1. That was a thing that happened.
I will take your word for it.
So it's already on both universes.
I will have to take your word for it.
This is consistent.
I'm not going to go back and check and fight it.
This is consistent with season 1. Stranger Things already exists.
Okay, fine. Still not a fan of it. Takes me out of the moment. It's a big giant product placement, which is weird because if you're watching this, you've already got Netflix.
I don't think it's a product placement. I don't think this is about them advertising Stranger Things.
No. That's the way it feels though when it's mentioned. It's like, hey, Stranger Things.
If anything, I feel like people on this show are just fans of Stranger Things and wanted to reference it.
Probably, but it felt like to me, like in the last Spider-Man movie, and it pulls out the laptop. It's all these Sony laptops. I'm like, yes, I get it. It's a Sony movie. Like that's what this felt like to me. It took me out of the moment.
I don't think so. I don't think it feels like that.
It's fine. It doesn't feel like it to you. It just, to me, that's how it felt.
I mean, it's not like when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. referenced Mr. Robot. I was like, wow, the product placement for Mr. Robot. Whoa. I mean, that was literally a character talking for like 30 seconds about how great it was.
Yeah, that was weird.
That wasn't.
It is weird when they do this.
No. That's fine. That's fine. You can give each other shout-outs. I'm okay with it. So Homer sneaks into the office. Look at how far we went off there because you had your stupid complaint.
Well, you shouldn't have brought it up.
So Hap has this mini disc of Connor from Angel.
Ruskin.
Ruskin, there you go. Ruskin, and he's talking about this house. And it talks about the engineer and the medium, and it was the medium's dreams that contributed to the engineer's buildings of the house. What struck me as odd is that eventually the engineer went through the puzzle himself, but it took him time. Like he was trying to figure out how to go through the puzzle, and I'm like, you built the thing. Why is it taking you time to go through it? You physically built the goddamn thing.
I guess he didn't understand what he was building. He was just putting it together.
Yeah, I don't know. It was struck me as weird. Now I get that once he goes, my problem is not that once he goes through it, that he ends up, because he goes into a coma. Whatever he saw at the window, the stained glass window, broke him essentially, right? Or sent his consciousness somewhere else. Maybe is what I'm thinking.
I would be inclined to believe that.
Yeah, right. That's fine because obviously once it's created, he goes through it, and then the thing happens. The trans universal thing happens. But the fact that he didn't know how to start the puzzle and it took him time to figure it out was the part that felt weird. I was like, but you did build it. Like you did this.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a bit weird.
I don't know. That was the one part that struck me as odd. But no, I liked OA hitting the trees and what they said to her. It's like, oh, Nina's a as a medium. She
Yeah.
can contact or communicate with all living things. That's why you can hear us. So it's not that the OA has this ability necessarily. It's that Nina has this ability.
It is. I would say it goes back to the third episode. Okay, so mediums are definitely a thing in this world.
Sure, absolutely.
In this universe, which is fine. Makes me more inclined to think one of the other group is one, maybe BBA, like we were speculating.
Yeah, maybe. And they basically tell her the one who wants to own you, so clearly Hap, right? I don't think there's any ambiguity here. Is about to make a discovery that's dangerous, and he will try and use it to make you feel like you need him, to break your spirits and make you feel like you need him to survive. You must stop this. You need what's the word to use? Clan?
Tribe.
It's tribe, yeah. It's a tribe. And she's like, no, I can do this alone. He's like, no, they're already on their way. And I'm like, oh, maybe the whole team is coming across. Like,
yeah. It was a little weird to me how she was so resistant about that. You know, given that the whole first season was her finding a tribe and telling them the story about this tribe that she had when she was in in all the cells. She's always been in these groups. It feels so weird for me that she's now resistant to that.
Oh no, I think it actually makes sense. I think because her original tribe, the one that was with Hap's captives, they've went through nothing but shit, and she now believes one of them's being murdered. She outright believes Rachel's been killed, and of course Homer wants to find out about the transfer, and the guy over the phone can't find her, and it's like, nah, that person doesn't exist here, kind of thing. So we're going down that path. So I think it is more of a like she doesn't want to put anyone else in danger kind of thing, but it's like, no, you can't do this alone. You need people.
I can accept that. I like the analogy they gave her.
Yeah, the tree stuff. Where it's like if one of the trees is dying, then we all feed the
canopy's
tree.
broken and all the shit can come in.
Yeah, no, I like that stuff too. It was a really nice.
What's interesting about that to me is that analogy. Because one tree goes down, the canopy's broken. That doesn't directly kill all the other trees. Because what that does then is that will kill all the all the animal life and the little plants that are dependent on that ecosystem. And then it's a knock-on effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So removing her as that first tree, say, won't directly affect the rest of them immediately. It'll have this ripple that I think is interesting but what's the ripple?
Oh, who's the first tree? Who are we talking about?
I assume she was the first tree, because she'd be her insisting she can do it on her own, that she'd be the first to fall, and then eventually that would mean that all of her other the friends. In this case, I think most likely the original group that has captive.
The one Hap's already got.
Yeah. So she's not there to essentially protect them. But in this analogy, there's a middle step with the trees. So, be interested to see if that plays out.
Speaking of Hap, he of course he finds someone who thinks he can help him. His first instinct is to drug them and lock them up so he can.
Classic Hap.
Classic Hap. See when he pulled out that syringe, I was like, here we go, Hap. This is how you do things. And she's on to him though. She kind of knows he's up to something. So she makes a call, and I thought she was just calling to make sure that people would like come and be there so that she could get away. But when you actually think about what she says, that a woman's passed out, and I'm like, why does she think she's passing out? And it's because she actually, travel at the end of the episode. She travels. She's like, I'm going to show you something, and she puts out these 5 boxes, and then these little robots come out. And this sounds kind of silly when you say it out loud, but they're not over the top robots. They're very simple
just little spindly arms.
Yeah.
And at first they looked really like they were sharp. I thought, are they going to like stab into her or something? Like, I wasn't sure where it was going with it.
They're literally just doing the routine. They're doing the movements.
They start doing the movements. I'm like, oh, this is clever.
Yeah, you don't need people. If you have robots, you can just have robots do it. But they're basically like the sort of arms you get in a factory, just really small, and they're just doing all these movements. And then she faints because obviously the consciousness has travelled, and Hap's left on his own. He hears the sirens, and that's kind of where we end. I was oddly into this final scene though, as the music was kicking in as it was doing the movements. So I was like, oh, this is cool.
I was just into the robots doing the movements. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was a great concept.
So no, I was definitely more into this than you were. I do agree. There's a couple of things with the house that what I did like though. I liked the listening to the audio diaries of like Ruskin and hearing this story.
It was a little bit expositionary, but the story itself was okay.
I mean, of course it's exposition.
It is, yeah.
This story he's telling about the building of this house, but the story is so weird and kind of unique that it's like, no, I'm into hearing about this. As we see the characters wandering around the house and seeing like sort of what it became, kind of thing.
I think it's a very uneven episode for me. Like, I do like parts. I like all the stuff with Hap. I was really into that. Homer having some weird dreams again, right? Like that stuff.
Oh yeah, it starts with him
With
seemingly
big bushy beard.
big bushy beard, a great big bushy beard, but also, but also because I was like, oh wait, this is like Homer because he seems to know he seems to be missing away, and then he goes to this woman to trade his wood. That's not a euphemism. And she has like people's backs and chests sticking out of like paintings.
The implication being that they are wooden, right? Or she's carved them. The way she talks about it,
I don't know, like because it was like real flesh sticking out of like a.
it looked like flesh anyway.
So he's touching this back, thinking it might be away, but then he wakes up because I was actually thinking during this scene, where the hell did Homer go? This is getting even. This is weirder than the goddamn octopus, and then it cut to him waking up, and I thought, oh, it was okay. That's fine. It was just a wacky dream. It's fine.
Yeah.
It can have subtext and meaning, sure, but I was like, are we really throwing this like Homer's went back in time? Or
the point is clearly that maybe our Homer is in there in some level,
obviously.
And he's the one locked away, and it's coming out through the dreams.
We've been saying this. We've been saying this. Like,
no, we have.
Nina's in,
this is just reinforcing it.
Nina's still in, Nina's body. Where Owe obviously is in control, and we think Homer's in Homer's body. So
This wasn't new. I was just saying this was that for me.
Yeah. Kareem finds Zendaya's character Fola old age. He finds her in this sort of hall of mirrors, and he realizes this is what he was looking into before in the first episode. So he gets them out from there. So he gets out of the house with her, and she's got old age inside the house. But once they get outside, she's back to being her regular age. So she clearly found the door. She clearly got to the next part of the game. Is this what Michelle went through? But obviously didn't get found, and whatever happened past this point.
Yeah. Things be weird.
And again, mirrors seem to be a thing, because mirrors were a big thing in episode 3.
They were, and again, it's the concept of mirrors typically are reflective, whereas this is the two-way mirror, right? Where they're looking through it from the other side. Which I think is kind of important.
Who's looking through from the other side?
Kareem was, right? No, because he was looking through in on it.
Sure, yeah.
And then in episode 3, it was
but he didn't know he was looking through glass, though. He just thought
he didn't at the time. But in go back to episode 3, it's Rachel looking through the mirror, rather than it being a reflection for
her. So very curious. The next episode appears to be back to the Earth 1 crew.
It does, yeah.
So we're assuming back to them.
I'm down for, because that was still the best episode. So
yeah, I wonder if we end that, because obviously it's been 2 Earth 2 on, then 1 and 1, then 2 and then 1 again. So I wonder. Obviously, we can't have another one at the end of the next 2 because we'll have 8 episodes. So I'm curious if they actually do travel, or if at least one of them travels at the end of this episode. Probably to cut really harshly, just as they're about to, because that's what this show loves to do, is cut right at that last second.
It does, doesn't it? And sometimes you know where it's coming. Like last episode when it was lingering on the shot of the door for the tunnel. I was like, okay, this is where the harsh cut's coming. But sometimes it catches me off guard. Yeah,
it varies between episode to episode, but yeah. No, I'm still intrigued. I mean, I will say that I didn't like this one as much as the last 2. I still think 3 and 4 are my 2 favorites of the season so far.
Yeah, without question for me, those 2. I really like those 2.
but I'm definitely intrigued by where we're going with this stuff, and the universe seems to be on OA's side.
Allegedly.
An interest. Why do you doubt it? And also, when she lands, they say, "Oh, you know, we've been waiting for you." Like, I don't think they're talking about Nina. I actually think they're talking about OA.
I do as well, yeah.
I don't think they mean Nina because it's her body. They're like, no, we can communicate with you because you're Nina, but like.
No, I agree. The way they talk about Nina as a medium, which okay, it was the same way Old Knight, is that what it was called, the octopus?
Mm-hmm.
Was the same as like, oh hey, oh hey, I'm talking to you, right? He was very aware that there was a distinct personality in there that wasn't Nina, and he was just communicating through Nina.
Yeah.
I think it's the same here.
So, no, that's episode 5. So we'll be back soon with episode 6. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. Guys, on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and you can support us for as little as $1 per month. So go over there, have a look, see what's on offer. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?